it's been well documented that it's been a rocky road from the beginning, and unfortunately, not all relationships between players and teams work out. Sadly for everybody involved, this one did not work out. And everybody had the best intentions going in, and it didn't pan out. And that's the NFL sometimes. And right now we're focused on I've got a job to do, which is to get Antonio on a new team. He's a free agent for the first time in his career, and he's one of the great players in the game, and it's my job to get him employed, and I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully we'll have an announcement as soon as possible, and we'll find a new team for him quickly, and ideally it will go well moving forward.
Drew, what's going on, man? Mike Robb here. My question is, what was the end goal? What was the end goal for Antonio Brown? You know, he got out of Pittsburgh, got into a situation where he got the money that he wanted, but and still it seemed to cause some issues. What was the end goal? What, in a perfect world, what does Antonio Brown want?
Well, I think in the goal when we signed with the Raiders was we had a 3-year contract with them, and the goal was for him to play out that contract and have great success. And, unfortunately, there were a number of things that transpired that impacted the relationship. And, it's unfortunate for the Raiders and for us that it didn't work out, but we can't look backwards. That's done now. Obviously, everyone knows that I tried to, Antonio and the Raiders, we all tried to make it work, and it did not work out. And that's part of life in the NFL, but that certainly wasn't the goal, to go into this for it not to work out. The goal was for it to work, and unfortunately it did not. So it's time to move on and find a new team, and I'm sure that moving forward that it'll be a better situation, and that's all we can hope for.
Hey, Drew, this D-Hall. We just saw Julio get $22 million. Does Antonio, after all of this, still thinks he'll be a top-paid receiver, like in the top 5? Or is he just thinking, get me on the team so I can go out there and show people? Because I've been in that situation, and I've kind of had both responses at 2 different times in my life.
Well, we're gonna have to see. We're going to have to see what the market is. When you're a free agent, it's not necessarily what you want or what you expect. It's what the market is. It's what the level is. I mean, I certainly consider Antonio to be one of the greats. He was the highest paid receiver in the NFL until Julio's deal, and kudos to Julio, well-deserved. Of course, my job as an agent is to always get the best contracts for my clients. But, I'm not going to go public and say what we're looking for. That's really something for me to discuss with the other teams. But, our opinion of Antonio has not changed. And with any client that I have, guys, I'm always trying to get the best contract that I can, and that's no different here.
Drew, did you feel like this was a salvageable situation with Antonio and the Raiders before last night? Sure.
I always do. I always work to do what's in my client's best interest, and my job was to try and make this work, and I tried to do that up until the point that the situation was irreversible. So I'm always going to do what's in my client's best interest, and that's what I was doing for Antonio until he no longer was with the team. And hey, listen, I have a lot of respect for John Gruden, for Mike Mayock, for Mark Davis, for the Raiders organization. I have other players on the team, including Trent Brown, who's one of their great players, and Trent's doing great there. Trent signed there as a free agent. He became the NFL's highest paid offensive lineman, and he loves it there. It worked out great for Trent. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for Antonio, and that can be the case in the National Football League. And I'll continue to do business with John Gruden, Mike Mayock, and the Raiders moving forward. And, from my standpoint, it's unfortunate that this didn't work out, but I look forward to the next opportunity for Antonio.
Drew,
and I'm sure do well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. They said in their communication to Antonio that they believe that he has voided the guaranteed money as well as any ability to collect termination pay. Basically $30 million that they are intending to walk away from based on the reports that we have today. Is that accurate? Was that the communication, number one? And I'm guessing you disagree, and can we expect a grievance on this?
Well, all I can say is, I really don't want to get into what could be an upcoming legal situation. So the only comment that I'll say is, we'll do what's best for Antonio. We will speak with the NFLPA, and we'll look into all of our options, and we'll take the necessary steps that are in Antonio's best interest. What those are moving forward, we'll find out. But, that's really all I can say about this because, again, it might be a legal situation, and that's something that will be, litigated between the Raiders and Antonio and the NFLPA.
All right, and let me add one more here. A lot of folks that we've talked to today have said they're concerned for Antonio, that his behavior to them is, quote, irrational. Is he okay? I mean, are there any concerns? Because nobody's been with him closer through this entire summer, basically, than you have. In your mind, is he okay mentally right now?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Listen, Antonio's my client. I support him 100%. Like any relationships, you try to do what's best for your client. Ultimately, the decisions that he makes are his. And I have to respect that, and I'm always going to work hard for him to do the best that I can for Antonio.
Is he in your, I guess let me rephrase, is he in your mind able to, if he's going to reset, obviously it's going to be with a new team, reset, go with a new organization, is he in the right mindset to play football in the NFL right now?
He absolutely is. He absolutely is. Like I said, it's unfortunate that things didn't work out with the Raiders, but he needs, obviously he's going to get a new opportunity, a new beginning, and I'm always optimistic that it's going to work out. I really thought going into it with the Raiders it would, and I'm optimistic that it'll work out with his next team. And I'm excited for him that he's going to, that he is now a free agent, and undoubtedly he'll have another opportunity, and I'm very optimistic that this will be more successful than it was with the Raiders.
Drew, thank you so much for joining us today on the fly. We wish you guys the best of luck as you look for a new partner there for Antonio Brown. But it is amazing that in the first time in his career, Antonio Brown is an unrestricted free agent, and it is the start of an NFL season this weekend. One game has already been played. The rest of the league just waiting, and he is right there on the market.
Yeah, he's right there on the market, and we can say all we want to say. First of all, I thought Drew did a good job answering the questions, standing up for his client. But Antonio Brown's going to get another job at some point. We don't know when, but he will. And I just keep saying it, and I have to say it again. We keep reinforcing the fact that talent trumps character. It does not matter. As long as you can go out there and do the job, you'll continue to get a job. And
agents get a bad rap, but their job is to defend the client and whatever the client wants to the best of your ability to go out there and get. And that's what Drew was talking about here. And again, he was on Hard Knocks. The camera caught him saying, okay, maybe we didn't handle that situation the best when he left camp and then came back. But despite that, he's got to go now fight for him to get another job here somewhere else. It's going to be challenging because the money's going to be one thing, the fit's going to be another thing, the preconditions, okay? You can come play for us, but bing, 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 bing. It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be a ton of buts. And that's the question I want Drew to have. I hope AB understands, because all of these situations in Pittsburgh
that he created,
he's known as this kind of guy now. A lot of teams are already removing him from that. Then a lot of teams are saying, okay, we still like him, but for a certain price, right? And I know he was the highest paid receiver at one point in this league. I know he's a great receiver, a top 2, 3, 4 receiver in this league. But I also can guarantee you right now he will not get top 10 receiver money, period, because no team will trust him. No team will trust
and if he gets that $30 million from the Raiders that he surely believes he's still owed, that's not that big of a deal. And you did hear, I mean, Drew didn't answer the question directly, but clearly
they're going to go into agreement.
He called it a possible legal situation. So there's going to be grievances on top of lawsuits, on top of whatever. It has to start with a grievance within the CBA. And the mediator at times in the past that the NFL has used, we'll see who winds up mediating, a lot of times come down on the side of the player. You know, I understand what the language is, but there's a lot of gray area in the language of the CBA and the contract here.
And look, we heard last night what could have been John Gruden's voice on a recorded